excited to talk to you Remarkables today. So I got a question from Maeghan, but before we get into that, I just wanted to let you all know that last week was a fantastic week. So thank you all for the birthday wishes and for just all the kind words. They were great. I felt very loved. So anyway, that was last week. That's what that was really, the whole entire end of last week was all about my birthday, and it was awesome. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you and let you guys know that that was the deal. Now, with that being said, hi, Maeghan, good to see you. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. With all that being said, not too much other things got done. So we're going to just leave that where it is. I had fun. Anyway, so moving into your question, I'm really excited that you actually made it. Okay, we're going to make this quick. I have a video out that actually talks about the 7 steps. I think there's how to start your nonprofit in 7 steps. And so I have every piece of like what you should do to go through the 501c3 process. But one thing I did want to ask you, Maeghan, is do you actually have you're trying to start your 501c3. You do not have that yet, right? Because I want to make sure I don't just like say all this information and you don't even need it. But the main things that you need for a document are, for the documents to start up are your, of course, articles of incorporation. Sounds like you already had that done. Your bylaws, and then you have a 501c3. Okay. So good. Okay, so I'll just run through these really quick for whoever is watching that maybe has not gotten the 501c3. Okay, awesome. Okay, so it sounds like you're in the middle of getting your 501c3. Let's go from there. So you have your articles of incorporation. You'll need obviously the board members and all of that. And then your bylaws, and you guys will keep seeing me look down. I have not done this in such a long time, and I have the course going, so I don't really like think through these steps anymore like this. So, but those are the main things: your articles, your bylaws, and then you'll be filing and walking through that filing process. Now, in the course, I walk you guys through every single piece of this, and I help you put together all the things that you need. Like for your bylaws and how to do your articles, how to file everything, how to get your board members if you don't have them, like everything that you could possibly need. I walk you through that course. Inside of that course. Now, once you're done with all of those basic things, Maeghan, I would say that you should probably put together a corporate binder, which just has all of your documents that you started, your incorporation with. And then your board duties is something that you might want to put in. I never really did this. I still have my same board that I started with a few years back. So I never did the board duties, but I think it would be helpful for your incoming board of directors, which is, anyone else that comes in after that. Okay. So yes. Okay. So they will actually send you, question is, what about accounting and tax related documents? So what they're going to do is once you file and you have everything done, they will send you all of the information that you'll need. So you can fill out a 990, I think it's a 990 tax form. And that's basically your exemption form. But they send you this, like you won't forget. And I do have a video for that as well. That video is the 3 forms you must file. And basically when you do your budgeting every year, there's nothing that you're writing off. So it's basically just letting the IRS know that yes, you are still a nonprofit who's still in business and still carrying out your mission. And they may ask you, like, did you make over this amount or did you make less than this amount? And then that's really the extent of the tax exemption piece. So there's not like a whole lot that you really have to do. Now, when I say that this is where the work really begins, I say that because once you do this piece, all you're doing is starting a business essentially. And so as a nonprofit would go start a business and fill out a certain type of form or anything like that, a nonprofit would then go through a little more of a rigorous process because you're, getting a tax ID number from the federal government and things like that. So for charities and nonprofits, it's tough just because it's a little bit more rigorous. But for all businesses, especially if you're a social impact business, it really is. It's just the startup piece of that. So what penalties could nonprofits possibly face for not following up with documents? They will give you a couple of warnings, but then they're basically going to take your exemption status away. And I think that would take quite a while for that to happen. So that's why, I have that three forms you must file. I would tell you those forms. I just can't remember them right now. I'm sorry, but I will actually add that video on here for you. Or I could send it to you after in the group. But yeah, it takes a lot to get there. Like, they will give you multiple warnings and you'd have to ignore that, or they'd have to be sending it somewhere else for you not to get it and to make that decision that you want to close it down. And that's the same thing that happens for a for-profit business. Your county or your state or your federal, you're not usually federal for-profits, but basically they will let you know, like, hey, you need to file this, or basically we're going to close down your business. Oh, good. I'm glad that's helpful. Yeah, the biggest thing really when you start the nonprofit side of things is that because you had to do so much work on the front end, sometimes we forget that, like, it's really the next step after you get your 501c3 of building a profit and making it sustainable, making it something that will actually continue working after you've gotten the 501c3. That's why the 501c3 part is so simple and easy. It's good to have like specific things to kind of get set up and make sure you know what you're doing with your bylaws, make sure you know what you're doing with your board, which again, I talk about all that in that course. But those are just things to kind of keep you going the right direction. Do you know what I mean? Like you won't miss anything by going through that course, but you're also, sounds like you're not going to miss anything because it sounds like you've already kind of got most of the stuff done. So you have your mission, your vision, you have the articles of incorporation. You're going to start on your bylaws. You'll be doing your filings and all that stuff. And just, you want to be careful on the filings and make sure you know exactly what you're filling out and how you're filling it out. But once you get past all that and you send it in, your nonprofit status is just basically saying, okay, you can now start a business. And that's totally it. Maeghan, I think that's absolutely a great way to do it, especially if it's something related to your nonprofit. And this is what you're asking right now, saying, what would you suggest in terms of having for-profit services under the nonprofit umbrella? That is exactly what we teach in the Unleash Your Profit course. And so, I mean, this is kind of the big deal about that. I saw that a lot of you were trying to create a profit, but there's a lot of foundation that goes into that piece that you just need to really kind of set up so that you can start to kind of have some passive income coming in, and so that you can start to build on top of that to actually make a profit so that you can keep it sustainable. So at the end of the first course, the Unleash Your Purpose course, I do talk a little bit about sustainability. I have someone come in and we'd have a little discussion about sustainability and how all of that works. But the real nuts and bolts of it is, I know I keep saying this over and over, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but the real nuts and bolts of all of this is that you're starting a business. Yes, it's a social impact business, but it is a business. And so, yeah, it's absolutely perfectly fine for you to have a for-profit service under the nonprofit. What you want to make sure that you don't forget, and I'm going to write this down really quick because I want to send this to you. Okay, so I'm going to send that to you, and I'm going to send over I said I was going to send you another video. See, I'm really bad with my memory. What was the other video I was going to send you? If you remember the video that I said I was going to send you originally, write it down, and then I'll write it down for myself. Write it for me so I can see it, and I'll send it over to you. Anyway, so there's a video, and then I want to send you one more thing. The unrelated business income tax, okay, is a big, it's not a huge deal, but it's a Okay, 3 forms and how to start. Okay. 1 second. Let me get this down. Okay. Thank you for that, Maeghan. So the UBIT is essentially the unrelated business income tax. And that's where you can get dinged if you start doing more of your for-profit business income than you do of your nonprofit income. So basically, there's a few different types of income that you can make, right? There is the sponsorships, there's partnerships, and then there's sustainability. And there's, of course, donations. And so you want to look at your pot as far as filling it mainly with, I would say, sustainability, then donations, then sponsorships and partnerships and things like that, and grants and all of those things. But your main, I would say, and what I preach, I'm sorry, I know I keep interrupting myself. What I preach in the Unleash Your Profit course and what I try to get across to everyone is that your main source of income really should be set up like a business so that you're not just depending on donations and you're not just depending on grants, which is why you never really hear me talk about grants or sponsorships or anything like that. I mean, if you have an event and you can find some sponsors for your event, I think that's fantastic and you're doing a great cause, or you have a partnership that you work with and it seems to be working out really well for you and the partner. I think that's great as well. But these are things that they need to be thoughtful and they need to be done with some level of precision and thought, so that you can make sure that these are in alignment with each other. So if you partner with someone, you really should be partnering with someone that you feel aligned with. Their mission aligns with your mission. You guys have a similar vision as to how you want to impact the world or how you want to have social change. You have to make sure that you can give them something of value and they're giving you something of value. This should always be kind of an equitable exchange instead of, I always feel like nonprofits are like, please, 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 donate to me, or please, please, please be my partner, or please, please, please sponsor me. And it shouldn't be like that. You should be able to stand on what you do as a nonprofit or as a charity, and you will attract people to you. And you will also be looking at people like, okay, what is it that is attracting this person, or what is it that I see in this business that I want to partner with, or that I want to, I want them to sponsor me? Why? Like, you should always be able to answer those questions, because that means that you're being very cognizant of why you're asking this specific person. And you should be able to go to that person and say, look, here's what I'm doing, and this is how I see it aligning with what you're doing, and here's how I see it can help you. And let me really quick. I'm going to try this really quick because I haven't. Oh, look at that. That's awesome. Okay. Sorry guys. It's a new software, so I want to try it out. Okay. So you have a tutoring business. Is that what I'm understanding? And possibly partnering with churches and schools. I think that's awesome. I think this is amazing. And can you tell me, Maeghan, why you actually decided to do, why did you decide to do a tutoring business as a nonprofit? And you know what? I don't know if I'm able to do this, Maeghan, but let me see. Would you be willing to come on if I invite you on to the screen? That way we can kind of like do more of a flow like that. And that's actually what we do in the course too. Like, we actually are like on camera with each other and we talk to each other. It just makes things a little bit easier and it's more natural. So, if you're not, don't even concern yourself. I'm just asking. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's do it. Okay, I'm going to try to send over an invite. Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay, I'm going to try to do this, Maeghan. Hold on. I think I might have to put this inside of the... I'm going to put it over here in the comments. Maybe I can't do that. Oh, gosh. Okay. I was trying to invite you. I don't think it's going to work. Okay, I can't do it. It won't let me do it. I can't even respond back to you for some reason. Okay, it's fine. We'll figure it out. We'll do it this way. And then I will figure out how to do this, but I would love that you were so down to come on with me. Okay. I know. I was trying. I'm on. So, okay. So Maeghan, I'm on this thing called StreamYard, and it's a streaming platform that will hook into different platforms and allow me to stream directly to that platform. So I'm not doing it through Facebook because I thought maybe I could actually, let me see really quick if I can just, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can go onto Facebook really quick and send you this. Hold on. We're going to make it work, girl. We're going to make it work because that would be awesome. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so I sent that to you. See if you get it. I sent it via Facebook, so it should be tagging you somehow. Well, I did tag you, so see if that works. And then I won't even know what to do when you get on here. I'll try to see if we can make this work, but let me know if you got it. So just moving on for a second, I'm going to try to talk a little bit about this. So whatever the reasoning was, okay, to answer your question, in case it doesn't work, Christian family discipleship, okay, and improve literacy rates in low income. Okay, awesome. Okay, that is really cool. So yes, I would absolutely run this as a for-profit business that is a nonprofit. And the way I would go about doing that is, you have to charge some sort of fee. And then you can have maybe like a sliding scale. That could be your fee or way of charging it. I left it in the group, Maeghan, just so you know. I tagged you in the group. Make sure. Yes. Okay, so anyway, so what I would say is I would set it up just like you would a normal tutoring business. And I would always talk about, like, when you support or when you go through our tutoring services, you support kids from, underprivileged backgrounds or at-risk environments, or however the terminology is that you use. And then that way you can actually, yes, absolutely, partnering with churches and schools would be amazing. Now, what would be the purpose of the partnership is another question I would ask. And the reason I say that is because, are you partnering with them because you feel like you could get a lot of kids, or are you partnering with them because you are thinking that you might have the ability to get funding from them? So sometimes you just need, one partner. Sometimes you need multiple partners, but it is really important to know why you want to partner with these people or these places. And will it hurt your chances of potentially partnering with other people or getting sponsorships from other people as well? Hi, Maeghan. Oh my gosh. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to add you. Hold on. Oh my gosh. This is
hello.
How are you? It's so nice to meet you.
I'm good. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah. So I don't think you heard any of what I said because I think you were getting on.
Uh-huh.
So basically what I was trying to tell you is that if you're going to partner with some of these churches and schools, I think it's great. And especially if you're going to do your business as a basic tutoring business, like let's just say you ran it as a for-profit. The only thing I was kind of cautioning you, am I getting some lag?
Just a little bit, but it's fine.
If you have Facebook open, close Facebook.
Okay.
Because they say sometimes it's like a 10-second lag.
Okay, I gotcha.
Okay. So when you're thinking about partnering with the churches and schools, what are you thinking? Because I want to make sure it doesn't affect you partnering with someone else or getting sponsorship money from someone else because you're with one of these churches and one of these schools. Does that make sense?
I haven't actually thought through all of how I would want to partner, but I know that, like, for example, I am a teacher presently. So offering a partnership with my school where I'm providing some intentional, like, intervention services for
Yeah.
them in exchange for maybe some space,
Okay.
or working with some churches in their youth groups with some Bible literacy, maybe related things, maybe in exchange for some community kind of events or whatnot. But
Yeah.
really just trying to find ways to get to students who cannot afford private tutoring in the same way that some other areas can.
Yes. And then would you be the person that's doing all of the tutoring, or would that just be, do you have like other people underneath you doing the tutoring with you, or how does that work?
Right now, I'm a one-person band, but I want to have, I want to bring on some tutors, which is why I have to figure out kind of the financial piece and train them in a specific way. Some of the training I want to get for them really is it's a little pricey, so I have to think through that as well. But
Okay.
it's really high quality literacy. Like, if we do these things, then we will see some really good outcomes.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah.
Could you have interns?
Interns would be a really good idea. We do have a university in the area with maybe some teaching students who are in the teaching program. So that would be a really good idea.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I love my interns. So, I mean, I feel like I really wouldn't have gotten as far with my organization if I didn't have interns. And
Okay.
even if you're using them, so you can use high school students, and you can use high school students to do some social media for you. You can use them. Hi, Debbie. Good to see you. You can use them to lots of different, I mean, God, any way that you probably need without putting them at risk, of course. But a place where they could just come meet with you and you have them do specific tasks. It can be the back end of your computer work, whatever you trust them with.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
then
that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I would totally think about doing that. And you just work with the career counselor at the high school, and they'll help you find whatever you're looking for. Now, when it comes to the tutoring aspect, you could also use high school students, but you would need to make sure that you vet them really well, and that you're also present with them and the children, of course. Same for the college students. But I don't know if you'll need to actually pay the college students to do the work, because it then becomes volunteer hours since you are a nonprofit.
True.
And remember that you have to have the whole shebang. Like, right when you first start, you can just start as lean as possible. Like, what's the bare minimum that you can provide for tutoring services if you were to have some volunteers, or even just yourself, that you think people would be willing to pay for?
Okay. That's good. I think that's really good. Starting with the bare minimum. I'm really one of those pie brains, and it takes a lot to bring me down some days. So I think that's a really good way of, like, bare skin and bones. Like, if I had to just start tomorrow, like, what is the bare minimum that I need to provide a quality service at a reasonable cost? That's a good way to think about it. I'm thinking about jumping in maybe either this summer. I know I'm going to do some summer programming, but I was thinking about kind of piloting some stuff in the spring and kind of thinking through what summer may look like. So yeah, I think that's really good feedback.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I love what you're trying to do. And I think also that, okay, so you don't have it yet. You don't have your 501c3 yet, right?
I do have the articles of incorporation already approved. I've already submitted that last summer in June of last year.
Maeghan, what?
I guess I've had a hard time with getting a clear vision about what exactly I'm trying to do, because I didn't understand the idea of I need to offer a service, but I also need to make a profit, and how I could marry the two. And so I've been doing private tutoring since last March, just as I guess you could say a sole proprietorship in a sense. But I wanted to create more opportunity to work with students who were not able to necessarily pay. I guess the sticky part has been COVID, of course, but then also me kind of figuring out what exactly is this supposed to look like. There's so many different ideas and different ways you can go about things. kind of narrowing in and not, so I have a board kind of too, but even then we paused. We were supposed to have our first board meeting in December. It's like, guys, I don't think I'm ready yet. I really don't want to drag people along on a without clear vision. It's like, okay, I'm a planner. I have paralysis analysis. Okay.
I'm like, this sounds like something more than just like listen, you have a plan and it sounds good. And you know what you're doing. Of all people, you know what you're doing. You are a teacher, like, how to tutor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing is I've seen this many times, so you're not the only one, I promise, but like, you just have to pull the trigger. You just have to pull the trigger, and just people are going to give you a lot of grace. Like, they really will. I mean, you can start, and as long as you can see some progress, like, just start with one kid. I mean, like, you're doing, start with one kid, start with one church, start with one school, whatever it is you want to do. And I'm going to tell you something right now, like, you're going to set up this program, and you're going to have the perfect vision, you're going to have the perfect mission, and then you're going to start it, and you're going to be working on it, and you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm going a completely different direction than I thought.
Yeah.
That is completely normal. That is what happens, because you have to get boots on the ground to really see what needs to be done. And you're going to see that some of your processes that you thought would work don't. Like, we had a process of like, we're going to email all of the parents, and we're going to make sure that they respond to us, and we're going to do all these things. No, that graphic that I was working with, they don't check their email the same way that like other people might check their email. They have a phone though, so we went to text. You have to, you're going to be moving and changing, and you have to kind of get that in your mind, that mindset of like, the pivot is okay. You're going to see things and you're like, you know what? Working in the church setting maybe is not for me. The parents are too involved, or I have to do this as an after school program, or you start out after school and now you have to do a lunch program, whatever. I mean, there's like so many different things that will show you that. Yeah, I'm listening. Keep going. Just interrupt me. Just talk.
Oh, no, you're fine. This is all really good. I'm like, yeah, the pivot is okay. I'm taking that note, because I don't, once you have an idea about how something's supposed to go, and that's a place I also think we have to give ourselves grace. It's like, it's okay to shift when needed. I think that's really good to think about. Even when you said it, I work in a community, particularly my school population. We have a very large English as a second language population. So there are a lot of Hispanic speaking students. So even now I'm like, because if I work in this specific area, there's a lot of, I'll probably need more things related to Spanish speaking families and things like that. So I can already foresee, like, there would be some changes on the ground.
Yeah. And maybe you can also think about, okay, what kind of program do you want to create? Like, is this going to be, because when you just said that, I'm like, oh my God, you probably need to bring in some of your community members as well. Like some Spanish speaking, maybe native Spanish speakers that can also, translate to English, as I guess, for those students. Maybe you bring in parents who feel comfortable or want to tutor or want to help. Then you have to not focus on necessarily the tutoring aspect. You have to then focus on your processing aspect.
Right.
And one thing I do want to say really quickly, like, is, a lot of people do this, and I do think it's a big mistake. Bring your board in as early as possible. Like, the people that you put on your board, I know everybody's like, I want to have this type of person on my board. I want to have this person because there's somebody high up in the community or whatever. No, get people that you trust on your board. People that you can trust their opinions. That they understand your vision and where you're trying to take it, and let those people be part of that whole starting piece. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That right now, what you're kind of struggling with, and you're thinking about, like, I don't think I have my vision. These are the people. These are your sounding boards. Throw it up against the wall. See what they say, and know the part that you want to protect. Okay, like that I think is key. Know what's most important. Like, if you had to boil it down to like brass tacks, like, this is it. What exactly are you going to keep? Like, I wanted all my stuff to be where the people could go on, they could choose a child that they want to donate to. That was the most important piece to me. But everything else, yeah, give me your feedback, give me your changes. Like, and I've implemented some of them. Just, it doesn't have to be
feedback too.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah. Notes taken. I'm gonna pull the trigger this year. Like, I already had that conversation with myself. It's like, it's not that I don't have everything I need. I have a pretty good idea of where I'm going. I have the resources. If I really needed to get in touch with students, if I needed to get in touch with community members, I'm in a community I grew up in, so I have access. There's not really, the only thing standing in the way of me and the service actually being provided, like in this context, because I do my private tutoring, is me just saying, okay, this is what we're going to put out there. And being okay with it not knowing how everything's going to turn out.
You'll never know. I mean, as soon as you open it up, I'm telling you, as soon as you peel off the Band-Aid and just go, okay, you will not believe the amount of opportunities that are going to come your way, the types of people who hear about your mission or your vision. They're like, oh my God, I want to be part of this. And it will just take its own shape. Yeah, the problem is that I think sometimes for some of us as nonprofit founders and social impact business owners and things like that, this has not been done before, right? So there's no real model to go off of because no one's going to do it the same way that you're doing it, right? And you have a vision, and so everything you're doing is related to that vision. So even if things have been done, you're like, yeah, but that's not my final end point, you know?
Right.
So it's gonna be good, Maeghan. I really do urge you. And here's the other thing: move forward with the process of getting the 501c3. Do that like ASAP. At least finish that piece of the process, because honestly, that really is just the beginning. That's the tip of the iceberg. Like, that is really the easiest part, you know, because the rest of it is the building piece. And in that phase, you're kind of like molding and shaping and making processes and bringing your people on board and getting your tutors set up. That's when all that stuff starts. Right now, when you get those ideas, write them down. Like, if you have a way that you'd like your tutoring process to go, write all of that down in a journal or something, or a document or whatever, and keep those pieces. But move forward on the actual filing piece, because you're probably going to need at least, I mean, I think people in the course are filing, and I think they're getting their stuff back within like maybe a month or so.
Okay.
Which is great.
I can get that done. I'll make it my goal to get that done this week, and then go ahead and set up my first board meeting again.
Yeah.
And approve, because I've got some bylaws already drafted, so that part's already done. Yeah. I didn't know which form I need to do. So is it the 1023 or the 990?
No, the 1023. To do the 1023 easy.
The 1023 easy, and then after that, we'll just try to hit the ground with something.
That's right. And you have it. You really know what you're trying to. You really do. Just, I know it's scary.
Yeah,
it's worth it, and it really does make. I think it makes all the difference. And I would just say, like, once you send out the 501c3, you can wait until you get it back if you want. But I think it's good sometimes just to say it as a little breadcrumb, like, okay, this is what I'm thinking after you talk to your board, because you want your board 100% behind you. Okay. And you want them to know what you're doing. So before you even send it in, maybe like meet with them one time and just say, hey guys, don't make it so official. Like, this is our first board meeting. Yeah. Your first board meeting won't really happen until after you get your 501c3 and you guys approve the bylaws. Okay. That's when your first official board meeting happens. But before that, it's more of like, you want to get their input. You want to have as much buy-in from the board, and what's the word I'm looking for? You want them to be excited about it. Okay. Yeah. So just
that sounds like a really good idea. That's a good way to pull the trigger, because I was like, okay, so how am I going to do it? So the thing that I need to do, I think having that, the paperwork is the easy part, but I think having those initial conversations again and inviting them into some of these soundboarding spaces a little bit more would definitely be helpful, because I've been I think what part you want to protect, because I recognize I don't know, politics just always sucks, and you want to get the right people, but you also want to make sure that there are people who are invested in what you want to do, and that it doesn't take its own mind so early. And so I've been kind of, I guess, fearful of that part of like, I need to have everything figured out so that when I invite people into this space, that they have a clear idea of what exactly we're trying to accomplish.
Yes.
But I also haven't given space for a balance of like, this is the core thing, but like, let's talk about methodology together a little more.
Yes, exactly. And that's the bottom line. Like you're roping them in at a very early stage so that they all have ownership. Right. And I truly believe that this is the reason that I have my exact same board that I had when I started, because they're invested. They want to see this grow. They've put in ideas. They put in, different ways we can make this work. And it's like their baby too. And that's, you always will have the final say. And I think a lot of people worry about that. You'll always have the final say because people are looking to you as kind of like the captain. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want to do, Maeghan? How do you want this to run? Where do you see this? And I would also make it very clear to your board. I'm sorry, I'm just like unloading everything on you.
No, you're fine. You're great.
I would also like ask your board or make it clear to them if you plan on having them as a working board or as a fiduciary board, because those two things are very different, right? Like your working board, you're going to be asking them to essentially work in the organization, and your fiduciary board, you're just going to be asking them to be more like an advisory board that you can come to when there's issues or questions that come up. Obviously attend meetings, and then they have the oversight for your organization. Okay. And I would recommend, I always recommend not having a working board, because I think it really takes away the excitement of working together on something that you're building, and you become more can you do this? Can you contact that person? Can you contact that person? When really you could just have volunteers or interns do that.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. You've got it, Maeghan. You'll be just.
There was something else. You said pivots are okay. We want to have a lean start. We want to make sure we have that sounding board.
Yes.
Preferably more fiduciary than a working board. There was something else I was supposed to write down. I don't remember what it was. It's okay. It was something good, and it'll come to me later.
If it comes to you, then just tag me in the group, and I'll answer it.
Okay, I will. I definitely appreciate the feedback. I think the encouragement was needed. That's more so where I am. I had another conversation with another one of our group members, Youth-Led Hayes. She and I connected.
Yes.
We actually had a phone conversation about a month or so ago.
Yeah, she's
just like about just putting it. Yeah, she's been doing so amazing, and I'm really proud of her too. So
she has, and that's insane. Is like you just have to pull the trigger. You just have to do it, and let the chips fall where they may. You will be fine. That's what business is. It's just really like you're kind of growing on the fly. Like you are building as you go, pivoting, like all these businesses right now, like with the pandemic, they're all learning that, right? If you've never had to pivot in your business, I feel like you're not doing enough. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. And it will come up and people are so, I don't want to say they're forgiving, because there's really nothing to forgive. It's just, they really do understand, okay, she's building a nonprofit. Like, wow, this is pretty amazing. People are going to think what you're doing is amazing. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate the encouragement and the feedback. I've got all my notes, and I've got my homework. So my office hours are on the calendar for this week. So I'll make sure to knock that time out.
Okay, perfect. Well, I will let you go. I'm so happy that we got to do this. This was so fun. It was so good to meet you.
This was good. Same to you. And thank you for everything you do. We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, girl. I appreciate you guys too. I wouldn't be able to do it to anybody if you guys weren't here.
Well, have an amazing day. And I know that you said you had a lot of fun last week for your birthday. You deserve it. So we're not going to have any guilt trips about it.
I know. I was like, and I had a lot of fun and things didn't really get done, but it's okay. We're going to move on.
That's right. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I'll talk with you soon.
Okay. Bye, Megan. Bye, everyone. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.